It's time now for business, and Laban Clifford Serio is in studio. Laban.
Thank you very much, Ken Mijungu. Yes, indeed, we take a look at the news making headlines on the business front. And of course, we bring you up to speed with what to expect on your copy of today's Business Daily, where we're leading with the story where 11 banks will be able to convert their 23 billion debt into equity in order to push for Kenya Airways back to being profitable. We also look at the story about the National Hospital Insurance Fund, that's NHIF, where it will start giving out actually ambulance evacuation services in a deal signed between NHIF and Red Cross Society. That deal is estimated to be about 490 million shillings annually. And the news is that you'll not be able to be paying for it. Actually, you'll not be required to pay for it over and above your monthly contributions. Well, we'll also tell you about the intention to buy BOC Kenya Limited. This follows a merger between German-based Lindell Group and American-based Praxair, who have approached the Capital Markets Authority for an exemption. Also, on your copy of the Business Daily, we tell you about Limuru Teas and its appointment of a new chairman. That's Dr. Richard Cheriot, Arab Korir, as the chairman of the board. The company also has mentioned to the NSE about its decision to take back the notice earlier where it had appointed Nicholas Yankis as the chairman and CEO, citing a conflict of interest. Also to expect on your copy is the countdown to the first direct flight by Kenya Airways to America has begun, with the Cabinet Secretary for Transport giving a forecast of April of 2018 for the inaugural flight. Now, only airports in only four countries in Africa have that Category 1 status, exemplifying the stringent protocols that need to be put in place to attain it. Alex Mwangi now reports.
A number of hurdles still remain in the quest to have a Kenyan airline take off at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and land on American soil.
They require what they call air service license, and then they also require air operating license. These are given by the Federal Aviation Administration of the U.S., and those applications are being processed.
American carrier Delta Airlines is expected to enter the fray to seek for revenue in the transatlantic route. During a media briefing, Macharia was quick to defend the pricing model of Kenya Airways.
We believe that what you bring down the fares in East Africa region is to make sure we have this what we call multilateral air service agreements.
The government has opted to convert its $225 million debt, or an equivalent of 23.3 billion shillings, into equity, pushing up its 29% stake in the listed firm, which is considered a national asset.
And the plan is, after so many years, they can recover their debt, which now will be in form of shares, by selling those shares on the stock exchange. But what I can confirm to you, that it will be below 50%. So even with that, it will not become a parastatal.
In recent years, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has undergone some massive changes, including the construction of Terminal 1A, a multi-layered parking garage, Terminal 1E, Terminal 2, which is further behind it, as well as the complete demolition of the former international arrivals and its conversion into a parking area. Going forward, there are major refurbishments that are expected to be done on Terminals 1, B, C, and D. The airport is also in the final stages of negotiating for the design and financing of a second runway.
So we're in the design phase right now. We are preparing the documents for the bank, and hopefully we will be able to tender sometime during September, October. That's the plan. And then we will be able to hopefully do groundbreaking 6 to 9 months after that one.
The amount which has been already put on the table is about $5 million to do the actual design of B, C, and D. That's already been spent because the design is being done. But also the same partner has committed to help us in terms of the actual implementation. But those figures are yet to be determined.
The African Development Bank is the partner involved in financing the revamping of Terminals 1B, C, and D. Once they are redesigned to become more modern and efficient, the capacity of JKIA is expected to expand from the current 7.5 million passengers per annum to at least 13 million passengers. Macharia spoke during a tour of Terminal 1A to assess the extent to which it complies with the regulations to handle passengers based on the requirements of airports fit for Cat 1 status. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Part of Kenya Airways in a deal fronted by Treasury, where the loans advanced to KQ will be converted to equity. A move meant to recover the 23 billion shillings they're demanding from the airline. Now, in a sensational paper tabled before Parliament by Majority Leader Aden Duale, banks will be allowed to convert their outstanding amounts to shares by coming together in a special purpose vehicle arrangement. The banks include Equity Bank, KCB Group, Commercial Bank of Africa and Cooperative Bank, Jamii Bora Bank, I&M Bank, NIC Bank and EcoBank, Chase Bank, National Bank and Diamond Trust Bank also joined the fray. Now, this comes a day after Treasury announced that it will convert its 25 billion shilling debt to KQ into equity. Now, Treasury owns 29.8% of Kenya Airways, while KLM has a 26.7% stake in the airline. Parliament has been requested to first track the approval before Parliament breaks for recess. That's next Thursday. News further afield, Standard & Poor, that's a global financial services firm, has downgraded Qatar's debt on Wednesday as the real currency fell to an 11-year low owing to the diplomatic rift with other Arabic states. S&P cuts its long-term rating of Qatar by one notch to that's AA from AA and forecasts a significant chance of a further downgrade. Now, the rating agency said Qatar's economy would suffer from the decision by several Gulf states to cut diplomatic transport ties with Doha over allegations of supporting terrorism. Now, the US dollar was bid as high as 3.56 reals in the market on Wednesday. Now, it's the highest level since July of 2005. A 100 university student volunteers from across 5 universities in Kenya have been selected to join Unilever's Heroes for Change program. That's a social mobilization volunteer program. The students will work towards improving health systems and the well-being of the community with the ultimate goal of reaching about 10 million Kenyans by 2020. The program focuses on youth as an untapped force for good, empowering them to step up and change the society. Listen in.
Some of the social issues we face in Africa, they are dramatic. The impact that they have upon societies, and Kenya is a very good example of that, is significant. That being said, we have the biggest enabler, which is the youth. When you look at the youth and what they bring to Africa, they are completely different to what you find anywhere else in the world. These youths are unbelievable because they're an untapped force for good. But at the same time, they consider themselves as everyday change makers. They are not constrained by the rules and regulations that we gain as we mature in the world. They believe they can change places. And more importantly, they are embedded into the communities that they operate in.
Well, before I leave, I'd like to tell you an update from the standard gauge railway line. You know, my colleague Dan Mwangi is on the first-class coach, actually, from Mombasa to Nairobi. He will be giving us a comprehensive report onto how his journey experience has been, especially on the ticketing system and, of course, the access routes to and fro the standard gauge railway line. But what we can see now from the SGR is that you can see a tweet on the screen where they say that you can now be able to purchase your Madaraka Express ticket via M-Pesa paybill number. That's 809-888. That's on your screen right now. That's a tweet from the SGR Kenya where they say that now you can purchase your ticket online via the paybill number 809-888 to the account number being ticket. Of course, just improving the whole systems and accessibility to your travel. But of course, you know that from the launch, it was a bit difficult, of course, trying to access these services, with Kenya Railways Corporation saying that as from next week, we'll be having an online access of the tickets. So just improving this Madaraka Express experience. Well, that's it from the business front. My name is Laban Serio. Sean Cadavelis, it's over to you with the day's sports.
Thank you, Laban. I don't know, that really should have been right from the beginning, this online thing. There's been so many complaints on social media.
Yes, indeed, Sean. We must say that perhaps the launch was they went too ahead of themselves, because now what was only required is that you could only purchase the ticket by cash, and this was just at the terminals. So now that you can be able to purchase it online or through M-Pesa, well, it should have been there before, but well, too little, too late.
All right, thanks very much.